Well, very good afternoon and welcome to the 37th edition of the Global Weather and Climate Report. Hope everybody is well today. This is your guide to a look back at the extremes that have went on around the planet over the last 7 days. But before we get into the video, of course, please like, share and subscribe with your friends and family. I do appreciate everybody's support, of course, and I certainly endeavour to provide you with unique weather content, not looking just at the UK, Ireland, and Europe, but also across the planet as well. There is so much to get through in today's video, so do indeed please hit that like button, share, and subscribe, as I've already said, of course. You can check out my YouTube channel here. Plenty of reason to check out marvhoganweather.com on YouTube, as well as on my social media channels of Facebook as well as Twitter, and of course marvhoganweather.com, the website that provides monthly outlooks as well as seasonal outlooks. In the most recent video, which was actually back on Friday, I do indeed try to provide a video pretty much every single day of the week, but there's the odd day that I do try and take off because it is a slightly tricky time of the year, of course. After the busyness of the winter season, you do want to try and kind of give yourself a little bit of a breather, and I'm sure many people will appreciate that. I do work a full-time job. I do night shift, driving a lorry up and down the A9 between Glasgow and Inverness. So I do have a fairly busy schedule, but I still work hard at trying to provide you with weather content and keep you up to date with what's going on both locally as well as globally. But in the most recent video, I'll look at in depth sorry. I look at in depth of what's going on with regards to the connection between sea surface temperatures, the onset of the El Nino, April rainfall, which has been significantly down in recent years, as well as the connection to the summer type pattern. So there's a good 13, 14 minutes there looking at in depth what is going on. And this is all seeds to what's developing with regards to the summer 2023 forecast. So do check that out if you haven't already done so. There's a lot of content, there's a lot of work being put into that with regards to what's the potential within the pattern, at least, as we go forward. So, as per usual, this is the 2-meter temperature anomalies for the planet during the first half of April. So, it's hard to believe now that we've reached the 16th of the month. And it's quite interesting, the large area of cool. Now, of course, this was the month of March, which was a very warm month across most areas, with the exceptions of parts of Africa, Northern Australia. India was below average, southwest China, but it was, within a sea of warmth, anywhere from North Africa, Europe, right the way across the continent, really, with the exception of these small pockets of cool. Probably the coolest compared to average was, of course, across the central portion of North America and the western United States, warmer than average across the south and the east. Very warm compared to average across the northern portions of North America and Greenland, as you can see here. A good swathe of South America was above average as well, but that is quite the contrast. A big turnaround, but of course, we do have the whole second half to April to come, so of course, things can change, but it's interesting this back and forth going on. Even precipitation here in the UK, incredible differences between one month to the next. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the coming weeks with regards to rainfall distribution and what impact that may have later down the road in terms of the feedback to the atmosphere, so to speak. A very dry spring can tend to lead to drier soils, therefore less release of moisture within evaporation. That, of course, when you have less moisture for the sun to evaporate, that goes directly into warming the air, as opposed to the sun having to evaporate that moisture that's getting released by wet soils and whatnot. So these are all aspects that I'm going to be looking at in the coming days and weeks. But certainly this is the 2-meter temperature anomaly, like I say, for the month of April so far. Now, what's quite interesting is our good friend Maximiliano Herrera, Extreme Temperatures Around the World, a great feed with if you're interested in both climate as well as the extremes that are going on around the planet. He provides multiple tweets daily with regards to what records are falling across the planet, and he goes on to say, that the March 2023 globally, according to NASA, had a temperature anomaly of plus 0.52 Celsius above the 91 to 2020 baseline, and was the second warmest after 2016 for the month of March. And you can see, of course, there is a lot of warmth in that chart here. And really, it's not overly dissimilar, if I'm being honest, to what we've seen in the CDAS data here. This is off weatherbell.com. You can see here quite a lot of warmth with the focus of coldest air across the central portion of North America. So it's hard to dispute that, if I'm being honest with you. I know there's many people, my stance with regards to climate change and the reason for the warming that we've seen over the last couple of decades anyway. There is some people arguing that there has been no warming. I disagree with that. I do think there has been warming, but of course, what is the contributing factor to that warming? That is going to be, of course, the golden question. We'll look at the United States in just a second. This is another tweet here, about the March 23 temperature anomaly globally. This is off the JMA, so this is the Japan Meteorological Agency. Had a temperature anomaly of plus 0.50 Celsius. So this is the difference between the data collected by the JMA versus the NASA model. Remember, this is the problem that we have, is these conflicting numbers that can be a bit confusing sometimes. But it's basically above the 91 to 2020 average by a half a degree, as you can see here, and tied 2020 as the second warmest March on record behind 2016. So the JMA and NASA both agree that 2016, of course, was the warmest March on record, planetary wise, globally, of course. So that's quite interesting to see, of course. And the global sea surface temperature anomalies remain at record high levels. And I've made mention of that in that video on Friday about the potential influence that warming of the sea surface temperatures, particularly so in the North Atlantic, with regards to the summer pattern. It could lead to stronger than normal high pressure. It could also lead to enhanced rainfall because, of course, you get areas of low pressure over that warmer than normal water. You then increase the moisture levels within the atmosphere, and you can produce more rainfall. So it could go either way, and of course, it's not as simple as saying. I want to emphasize this. It's not as simple as just saying, that 1, 2, 3 drivers is going to dictate the type of summer. It's a lot more complex than that, because we need to factor in such things as the Manjulian oscillation, which I believe had a massive role during the winter season just gone, of course, with regards to the warm phases and the cold phases. The cold phases, the Manjulian oscillation during the early portion of the winter, really was, I would say, the one of the main drivers in terms of delivering that cool December. Then, of course, we've seen the enhancement of convection shift into the Indian Ocean basin, and that was more of a warm phase that led to a lack of blocking across the north, and that prevented cold from coming south here. So it's a very complex system, folks, and I don't claim to know it all, but certainly I try to understand and give you my understanding, my interpretation of what's going on with regards to climate as well as day-to-day weather. So anyway, let's look at what's been going on around the world in recent times. Now, Jason Nichols of AccuWeather will look at the Ailsa, Cyclone Ailsa became a Category 5. It was actually the third Category 5 system within the basin, so just to the north of Australia. It formed and became a Cat 5, and it is the third after Darian and Herman in the Timor Sea for the 22-23 season. And this marks the development of 3 Category 5s within one season. Is the first time since the 99-2000 season when we had 4 Category 5 cyclones within this region of the world. So Jason Nichols certainly provides some very interesting stuff with regards to global weather, especially Asia. We've seen a lot of heavy rainfall across parts of the Yangtze River basin in eastern China, widespread rain, heavy showers, thunderstorms affecting parts of southern South Korea as well as Japan. We've also seen some tremendous flooding situation across parts of the Middle East as well. We'll try and get to that in just a second. But Cyclone Ailsa has set a new preliminary record for Australia, a 10-minute sustained wind speed of 218 kilometers per hour, which, if you convert that, is 218. That's a sustained 10-minute wind of 135 miles per hour. And if you look at the wind gust, the maximum wind gust that was produced, it was 172 mile per hour was the maximum sustained wind for a period of time on the northwest corner of Australia here. So this surpasses the record at Bedout Island. Cyclone George was the previous record holder at 194 kilometers per hour back in 2007. So that is quite interesting. Of course, it made impact just to the east of Port Hedland. So it did impact a low population area. Excuse me, of northwestern Australia, but we did see some significant damage caused by this cyclone. Large hail fallen in the area just to the west of Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, of course. There's that cyclone once again as well. Big temperature drops over South America. I'm jumping back and forward, but I'm just trying to show you what has been going on around the planet. So we're seeing some cool conditions being replaced by hot conditions across parts of the Indian subcontinent, where, of course, Delhi, I believe, received the latest 38 Celsius since 2015, which is quite interesting given all the fuss and the excitement with regards to the heat going on at the moment here. This is another capture of the hailstorm that affected Saudi Arabia, thanks to disaster news on Twitter. So yeah, some very interesting stuff going on with regards to thunderstorms, flooding. This is after the heavy hailstorm, flooding going on across parts of Saudi Arabia. So very turbulent conditions in a very, very dry region of the world, which is quite interesting. Like I say, Jason Nichols looks quite a lot at the Asian sector with regards to weather and climate. So do check him out on Twitter. So remarkable heat across central portions of Asia. Insane minimum temperatures as high as 28 Celsius. That's an overnight minimum in Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan after days of 40 Celsius. Parts of Uzbekistan as high as 38 Celsius, 35 in Kazakhstan, in parts of the highlands. So incredible warmth here. We also seen some remarkable temperatures. Windsor Locks, and this is of course the United States. In Connecticut, was seen a high of 96 Fahrenheit, which I believe is a state record for the month of April in the state of Connecticut here. So high temperatures as high as 97 in Rio Grande in Texas, 96 at Hartford Airport. This ties the highest temperature ever recorded in April in the state of Connecticut. Dozens more records set for the first half of the month, with 94 in Pennsylvania, 93 in Massachusetts and New Jersey, 92 in New York, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island here. Incredible heat we've seen in recent times across this region of the world. 45.4 Celsius recorded attack in Thailand. This sets a new all-time Thailand record. Of course, we've got a Magellan oscillation at the moment where we're seeing a large-scale sinking over this region, enhancing the heat in this region of the world. Unfortunately, I'm running out of time, big time. So unfortunately, that is not going to be good, of course. Very cold conditions. Like I said in last week's video, the potential for a significant cold spell after the impact caused by Ailsa. And that looks as if that has materialized. But there's incredible warmth happening across many regions of the world at the moment. Let's have a quick look at Thierry Goose talking about the record heat across the United States, across other regions of North America also. And we also seen an incredible ice event in Montreal. That was followed by a record high of 27 degrees. Ran out of time. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Do subscribe to the channel. See you again next week.